Will, thank you for joining us this morning. It would be wonderful if you could start us off by introducing yourself and your business, Designing Leaders.
Sure. So I'm Dr. William Thomas. I'm a leadership coach. I've been working with Designing Leaders since 2014, working with clients both at Asia-based and Western multinationals around the region. It's been a lot of fun.
You know, what's the task ahead for your industry or for your company, in fact, this year?
First of all, we need to find better ways to engage people in their development. Online training has always been an option, but now it's becoming the standard, and it's going to be for quite some time. And it's not necessarily just a question of the platforms, but it's also the methods of development. So if companies, for example, don't want to do company-wide training, but they still want to develop the people on their succession plans, then maybe we shift more towards individual coaching and move away from larger workshops and seminars.
Who needs to be convinced at the client side that is the right way forward, and who would pay for that, which department?
I think the people that are going to need to be convinced are the senior leadership in the organization, many of whom have gone through development. That's how they got to where they are, but they may have forgotten just how important that was as they climb the corporate ladder. And so I think we're going to have to focus on reminding senior business leaders of the value of development. And we need to be able to demonstrate it too.
And are there any new skills you've needed to learn, or any sort of surprises for you that have come about during this year?
Absolutely. One of the things I've had to get better at is the idea of content marketing. I don't really have the opportunity to sit down with potential clients face to face and try to wow them in person. And so I've had to try to find a way to do that through a lot of different channels.
Yeah. What are some of the channels that you've been using?
So I've begun producing some short videos. We've started doing webinars. So once a month, we're running a free webinar.
Yeah.
And we're getting a podcast going, but
nice.
One of the things that I found is that when you take on too many projects at once, it's easy to not get any of them done. So we've had to reprioritize a little bit.
Yeah, we found ourselves in the same boat of it, what we called a sort of hothouse of innovation. So we've never had more ideas for marketing or to add value. You're absolutely right. I think that there's more time for everybody to consume that content.
Right.
So it's actually been a really interesting time for what we can put together as thought leaders. So Will, I'd love to ask you about the small core of people that deliver outsized value in an organization. So how do you identify those people, and how do you unleash the talent so that they can be even more successful?
Well, you're right. I mean, the first thing that you have to do, and the challenging thing to do, is to identify those people. And one of the things I encourage folks to do is look for the people that everybody else always goes to for help. Who is it that is the go-to person on your team? Because other people have not only recognized their skills, they also trust them. A lot of people have one or the other, the skill set or the collaborative nature, but find the people who have both. And then to the extent that you can, try to scale that up, try to leverage on those skills. So have those people become mentors, have them lead lunch and learn sessions where they share their experiences.
Is there anything, on top of what you just said, obviously, is there anything missing in leadership development that might need to be brought in 2020?
One of the trends that we've seen in leader development, certainly over the last 20 years, has been an emphasis on case studies and best practices. And those are fantastic. They're great learning. But we need to realize those are most useful in a stable environment. When you're faced with uncertainty, when you're faced with complex challenges, and not just a pandemic, but all sorts of changes that we can experience, you need to be able to put aside some of the best practices and create new practices. When I was in the military, I went through training as a strategic planner. And the motto of the school that is printed on our t-shirts was, it's not the plan, it's the planning. So being able to understand the process will help you get to any number of solutions, not just one single correct one. I find that a lot more kind of experiential work is going to be useful. So for example, when I'm doing workshops, rather than presenting an exercise to students with a hypothetical situation, as part of their pre-work, I have them identify real-world situations that they are actually going to have to deal with. So when they are practicing in the class, they're practicing for something that they're actually going to do when they get back to the office, when they get back to work. And once they see that they can do that, then they tend to have the confidence to go forward and solve even more problems. Yeah.
And honestly, you know, thinking of you being in the military, some of those guys that went from the military into corporate life, like there's definitely going to be a sort of success factor for those people right now, isn't there? Because I mean, what better training for 2020 than having been in, you know, the military and everything that training prepares you for. Thank you, Will, so much for joining us for the Behind the People interview series, and good luck with your flourishing team as you continue to grow this year.
It's been an interesting year, and it's not going to get boring anytime soon, I'm sure. So enjoy the opportunity to chat with you. Thanks.